Greetings and blessings to all. Another webinar of the Pranic Process Online is ongoing right now. And today we discuss the topic of how to have harmonious relationships. I'm sure it is a hot topic for many and really important for you to navigate this beautifully, especially in these times of change, especially in these times of turmoil, and especially because in certain areas of the world, we also have a very important holiday, the Easter holiday in the Orthodox tradition. And of course, everybody wants to be together with the families and the friends and do stuff together. But there are oftentimes moments where it gets bumpy, where it gets disharmonized, where it gets imbalanced. The reason it so happens is because each one enters these circles of friends or in relationship in general with certain expectations, with certain needs that they expect that the other people meet, you know, especially when it's someone dear or close to you, you do expect that they meet your need, they know how you feel and what you need, and they kind of meet your expectations, and you want to be met the way you feel to be met in a relationship. So expectations always create this tension in a relationship. Families have under, spoken expectations. So things that feel natural. If you're in a family, it is natural to do this, natural to do that. And nowadays, especially with the young people, not all of them are fitting in those expectations. Not all of them are matching the frequencies of those expectations, and therefore certain conflicts can be created. Another medium where relationships can get bumpy is, of course, in couple relationships. I've been working with couples for many, many years, and I've noticed that many things can be easily resolved if we listen to each other, if we give space for the other one to speak without drawing conclusion or jumping to conclusions. And if we allow the other the freedom that they innately have. So we are all born with with divine freedom, with a certain amount of free will, but I doubt that that people are really using their free will. Most of them are, drawn all over the place by their karmic or cause and effect bonds. But let's say that they have the freedom to choose in a way. And therefore, one aspect where relationships get bumpy, especially in couple, is that the expectations that are created within a couple and the pressures that are created within a couple cancel this freedom to choose, and put certain pressure on both partners, if there's two, in terms of what one should or shouldn't do. So therefore, the harmony in a relationship has very much to do with how much you are open and allowing the other person to present their own perspective, their own angle, their own point of view, and how much you are ready to accept it and to welcome it into your life and to deal with it harmoniously without putting judgment or shame or blame on the other. So that's, I think, the first key to a harmonious relationship: listening, giving space for the other to express, and giving the other the freedom to express himself the way he chooses to, as much as it doesn't, step over your boundaries, and these might vary from person to person. It might vary from tradition to tradition, from religion to religion. It might vary in many, many ways, but basically anything that has to do with a person's physical safety, physical health, non-violence in any way, that would be a clear boundary in a relationship. And it can be then extended to faithfulness, to monogamy, to clear communication, without lies, for people that prefer that, and to the way you want your partner to show up for you, the way you feel loved in a relationship, because many people are having the love of their partner, are receiving it, but they're not aware that they're receiving it because their partner doesn't show their love the way you are expecting to. So therefore you feel unloved, uncherished, disrespected, just because the other person didn't do or say the things that you were expecting or that you understand as love. So therefore you get offended, you get triggered, you get annoyed, your heart tends to close down, and so on. Because any person who feels unloved or disrespected or uncherished would close down in one way or another, even though we do speak of unconditional love, unlimited freedom, and such things. The truth is that in a relationship, in an intimate relationship, there can be many triggers regarding these aspects of how you feel loved and what makes you feel loved. So the first question that I feel to place now is, what makes you feel loved? How do you feel loved? I've asked that many times in our relationship retreats, in my couple therapy as well. It's very important that people know how they feel loved and what is love meaning for them. And once you answer this question to yourself, you also are able to communicate that to a partner or to the people around you, so that they know how it is that you feel loved and what makes you feel unloved. Because sometimes a person thinks that they're showing their love to you, that they're doing their best, that they're acting in a beautiful way, and yet you feel offended or unloved because they don't touch the right buttons, right? And there's a famous writer who has written The 4 Languages of Love, a book that I've read through, and to his understanding, there's 4 main languages that people translate as love, and that they according to your typology, you can feel love one way or another, of the 4 ways. So if your partner has a different language than yours, and he expresses his love differently, you might feel unloved or uncherished. There's actually 5, not 4, so I was mistaken. And there's been studies, according to this author, that are listing these ways that people feel loved. And the 5 main categories would be, for some people, love is expressed and translated in words and affirmations. So you can do, bring them the sky and the moon, but if you don't tell them how much you love them, if you don't tell them how precious they are to you, and what they mean to you, they wouldn't feel loved, regardless of how much tenderness, how much care, how much compassion you show, how much attraction, how much sexiness there is in your relationship, how much gifts or other things that people do, they wouldn't feel loved unless you tell them so. The other category is people that need some act of service, some need you to do something for them to show love. So they don't believe words, or they don't put a big emphasis on that. But what matters to them in order to feel loved is to have to see that you can do something for them, something that is important for them, or help them when they need you, and be there when they need you, be present in their life, show up when they need help, not get distracted when they ask for a favor or a service from you. Because, and for those people, any lack of attention or refusal to offer that service, and in general, any laziness or non-involvement is translated as lack of love. And I am one of these people. To me, not important how much words you tell me, because anybody can speak, anybody can bring gifts, money is available, and you can translate them into things anytime. But the acts of service, and especially the ones that are a little beyond your comfort zone, a little bit far of what you would normally do in a normal day, those are the things that impress me. And this is when I feel loved, when people go a bit out of their comfort zone to do something for me, and I also express love in that way. I do services for others, or offer help and support, and I like to be seen as a reliable friend, and to be by my friend's side and by my family when they need help and support the way I can offer it. And that for me is an expression of love. So it's really, really important that I receive help when I need it, when I ask for it, that I feel supported. That's the love that I'm perceiving. For others, the main love language would be the gifts. They like to receive gifts, no matter how much love you show them, through touch, through affection, through offering help and all that stuff, and through your words and affirmations. If you don't give them gifts, that's nothing to them. They don't feel cherished, they don't feel appreciated, they don't feel that they are loved. I appreciate gifts. I like to give and receive. I am open to receiving gifts all the time, and I love it. But I don't necessarily see it as an act of love. It's maybe an act of appreciation or abundance, which, some people trade or gifts for love, or any type of material things in exchange for love, but that's not real love. I do appreciate when, as I said, somebody brings something special. It doesn't have to be pricey, but when it means something for both of us, or it means something to him or her, or it means something to me, and they remember that, I love and appreciate rather the service behind the gift, or the quality of the message behind the gift. And gifts in general are nice, it's a sign of abundance and appreciation, but love translates differently for me. Another important thing as a love language is quality time. The quality time that you are, people say spending, but I'm saying gaining, that you are gaining with the person in your life. When you make time for them, when you go out of your way to have time for your person, for your partner, for your loved one, for your family, that's love proof for me. Especially that time is nowadays becoming one of the most precious currencies. we really appreciate when someone makes time or it takes time out of their busy schedule to do things together, and things that are nice, that are important, that helps us feel connected. Because if you are in the same room with me, but you're checking your phone or having a private conversation with another person online, or thinking of something else and not even hearing what we talk about, or mechanically repeating the same action or the same subject or topic, it is clear to us that that's not quality time. For me, at least, quality time is going out in nature and is sharing deep conversation about what a person really is going through or feels, about what's happening in a person's life, about a person's memories, or important events that are marking their lives in a certain moment, or have marked their lives in certain moments. Conversation that develops sometimes into a deep healing or aha moment for both of us, or just brings joy and harmony and upliftment. I like time with my friends of the feminine gender, where we have lunch with each other and shop for nice things, or present beautiful pampering things to each other, beautiful clothing and feminine energy in general being exchanged. I just love, and it's very nourishing. I like to spend quality time with my male friends, where we talk about their true issues, their real challenges, and sometimes their emotions, and that's beautiful to witness. So for me, that is a gift of love or friendship, or appreciation, when somebody is offering that space of mutual beneficial sharing. That's a gift of love. And of course, for some, an important light language is the physical touch. And eroticism and sexuality are translated as love. So you can be by their side as you might, or as you can tell them all the nice words in the world and bring them the star and the moon and all the gifts and all the help that they need and all that, and you can be around them a lot and have beautiful sharing together. But if you don't have the skill of touch, and if you're not the touchy-feely type, and you're cold and reserved and you're constricted like that, it's not really gonna work. It's not gonna feel to them that you love them and that you really cherish and appreciate their presence. So they're gonna basically somewhat withdraw or feel closed up, even if you showed your love in many other ways. So the quality of touch for them is important. The frequency of touch is important. So if you have such a partner or being in your life, you might get down to business. You might learn some tantra, you might learn some massage, you might learn some sacred sexuality or advanced sexual techniques, so that you can show up for them the way they feel loved. Because no matter what you think is important for you and how you are expressing, and perceiving love, the most important thing is that you know their love language. And that's when, in truth, you can build the bridge of love between you two, or you and your dear ones in your family, and so on. Each person is, of course, a mixture of these love languages, not just one. But there are some, at least 2 or 3, that are most important, and the other one can be secondary. For me, I think the acts of service are number one, and then I would say quality time and physical touch are the next in line. And yes, I love gifts and I love the words, but I have the tendency to be skeptical with just words if nothing else shows up, or with just gifts if a person is lacking the presence and is not helpful when needed, and or they speak a lot but don't show up as they would according to their words. I have a wall of skepticism in that direction if they don't walk their talk, or if the words are matching their presence. So that's just me. That's how I work, and I've done a lot of work to balance all these 5 elements, or even go beyond them and feel love regardless of any. But in truth, I like to, and we all like to feel loved and cherished and appreciated. And there are many people now who struggle with relationships. The card of the day actually is you are not alone. Isolation, physical connection, reach out to people and community. It comes to remind us that as much as we feel comfortable in our own bubble, especially now that we have technology, and with the technology we have the illusion that we are connected to other people, it is more real and more authentic and more nourishing to actually reach out to people physically, to make that phone call, go to that meeting, go out on that date, or show up for your family when you have the chance to do so, or reach out to an old friend and have the courage to do it in person instead of texting or sending some emoji. Nowadays, it's very complicated with the new generation. They don't actually speak to each other much. They send some emojis, and you are actually supposed to get their whole state of mind and their whole intention in these 2 smiley faces and 1 eggplant or something, whatever that means. In truth, we still need words, we still need touch, we still need presence, we do need quality time. Young generations and even the older ones, like myself and the generations older than me, have somewhat lost their ability to connect due to technology. We're less connected, we're more disconnected, because the main tendency when you sit at a table with people, if they're not conscious people, if they're not trained into presence, is to pull out their phones and start either showing picture to each other or texting to other people, which I find incredibly rude on long term. I mean, I can take a text or 2 because there's an emergency, of course. It would be awesome to be able to resolve that problem. There's no pressure. But if a person sits in front of me and is in the middle of a conversation with another person, either online or on the phone, I find that really impolite and unappreciative of my presence. And I tend to withdraw from it really quick because I feel my time and my life is are really precious. I don't have that situation often. It's not the type of people that I'm, interacting with or maintaining as close contacts in my life. But for sure, it is something that I've noticed people doing. And if it ever happens to me, I tend to sit there for a while and then make it clear that I have better things to do, which I find it useful for the other person too, because they should know that they're missing out on the presence in front of them in favor of a virtual presence that they could get in touch with anytime. So that's my view on, connecting. I'm seeing many people missing out on true connection because they have the illusion of connecting virtually just as well. Very many people are having an inner shyness or even a fear of direct contact and direct dialogue. So many times they are very good online or in texting, and they're really frozen in person, which becomes more and more the issue, especially with the young generations, but many others are having the same situation. Even adults of our age are confronted now with an artificial isolation, I call it. If you go in a cafe, for example, it's really challenging to even make eye contact with people because they're all deeply sunk in their screens and their faces tilted down. So you're not getting much contact. And I am surprised when somebody actually doesn't spend time on their phones or laptops in a public place, and they have the courage to look at other people, to look around, to notice the landscape or the view outside the cafe or inside. I'm catching myself staring at people. I am so interested in human life. So when I go out, I do go out to see people and to get in touch with them. I rarely use my phone, only if I have some really urgent things to do. But I like to just sit in a cafe with a book or with my tea and really be present there for the connections that are in the internet, in the subtle field. We share energy with everybody around us. Sometimes they are very happy about it and they send love back. And I like to feel it. And I like to also make friends really quick, because people feel drawn to me, to talk to me. Women come and tell me all their issues. And we make friends instantly. And it's really easy to be present, with people when you are kind of letting go of technology for a while and stay there. And we actually need that. We need to be together. We need to share energy. We need to share words. We need to share stories. The whole social media thing is built on this basic human need. Only it has overtaken now the direct contact need, and it's packed it into nice services of emojis and photographs. And that's not real contact. We have to remember and retrain ourselves into being with people instead of mimicking contact over some chat boxes. That's important, right? It's different energy, and we really don't know how many people are involved in that online conversation. There's, of course, a lot of online control or nanobots and all kinds of entities reading and witnessing all that sharing. So it warm and connected, right? And last but not least, I also feel to share a tool to connect very easily with people, because I know people need it this day in the light of the things that I've just shared. As I said, society can be really disconnected, relationships can be really difficult, and the whole world is upside down with this technology. We don't know how much it helps, but for sure it disconnects certain people, especially the young ones. So it can be difficult for you if you spend a lot of time with technology. It can be difficult for you to show up in a public place and make direct contact with people and talk to them freely and be open, right? So what I'm going to share now, it's a very simple tool to be able to connect heart to heart to people and easily make conversation, establish friendships, and build even long-term relationships in a harmonious way. I've learned this tool from the Embassy of Peace, and I'm happy to share it here. As a backstory, there's 2 examples in which it worked beautifully, but I'm first going to share the tool, the method, and then I'm going to tell you how it worked for me and how it worked for others. So what you do when you want to really connect with a person or a group or, you know, a community of people in a certain gathering is you surround yourself with light as a column of light from the center of the universe to the center of the earth, or a bubble of light, because the empaths can be very, very impacted by the energies of others. So you put on this light coat, if you will, to filter out the things that don't belong or aren't necessary for you, so that you can be centered. That's step number 1. And that's much more easy for you when you go outside in general. The step number 2, you know, if you check that you're grounded, you have roots all the way to the center of the earth, so that you are grounded and stable when you start sharing with another person, so that you don't get too much in their energy. And then you center in your heart, here in the center of your chest. You can even put your hand on your heart, because it connects you straight away with the center of your being, and it energizes your heart chakra. But if you can't really be in a gathering, like in a business meeting, you know, sitting with a hand on your heart, everybody will ask, what's wrong with your heart? Are you having a heartache or whatever? So you can just center and imagine and visualize this place in the center of your chest until it activates. You can feel it pulsate or warming up, or, you know, tingling, or, you know, it has an energy to it. And you send rays of energy to all the people in the room, rays of love. Imagine it like pink love, or love, light and love, rays of energy to each person's heart. If it's just one person, you connect heart to heart by sending 1 ray of love, of course, and you program that energy, that ray of energy, with this specific intention: communication, divine self to divine self, divine self, communion, divine self to divine self, and compatibility, divine self to divine self. So I'm going to say it again: divine self to divine self communication, divine self to divine self compatibility, divine self to divine self communion. Which basically implies that each word you say will resonate in a way that the other person gets it, or the people around you in general. That's communication, divine self to divine self. Then communion means that your exchange, either of words or of energy, is beneficial for both, right? You're in a communion, in a state of open sharing, that would be, that people don't put walls or masks or any type of obstacles in your way. And divine self to divine self compatibility means that your energy is well perceived by the other, and you are nourished by their love as well. So they perceive your energy as beneficial and reliable, so they can trust you, they can open up, and you perceive their energy, see the good in all, the God in all, and their divine essence. That's what compatibility means, and you can do a beautiful frequency match with the other person. So that's when we really connect with a group and are able to very easily relate with people around us. The story behind this tool, and you can even do it now with each other. It's very beneficial that we do it with each other. I send always a ray of love to all the people that are participating in a class or a gathering or a meeting with me, and I program divine self to divine self communication, divine self to divine self communion, divine self to divine self compatibility. I trust that this always works, because I've always noticed that it works, even with people that are closed up or don't want to open up with love, to love. Some people who are really hurt or don't want to open up to that type of sharing, they're leaving the room instantly. So I'm positively knowing that they don't want to share in an open and mutually beneficial way. So they are having other agendas or intentions. So they're naturally extracted out of my field. But for the ones that stay, the conversation is always magical. The connections between the people in the group are created in a magical way. And we are really, really helped by each other and nourished and enriched by each other's presence. And the other two stories, that's my personal experience. And the other two stories that I'm having is that one mother was struggling a lot with her family. Her husband was always insensitive, not helpful, barely looking at her all day if they were in the house, completely neglecting her and being even insensitive and unthoughtful every time she expressed a need or trying to communicate with him. The son was similar, and both of them were making fun of her for her spiritual practice. They were actually somewhat bullying her, and she was feeling really, really unappreciated, unloved, and she was basically feeling like a slave in her own house. And that has been going on for years, until ultimately she went to this gathering with the Embassy of Peace and learned about this tool and instantly applied it at home. She came back home and her husband and son were watching a match together, didn't even say hello to her, didn't even show up for dinner or any contact or affection that she might need. And she was sadly sitting in the kitchen door, looking at this undesirable situation when she remembered about this tool. So she sent a ray of love to both her husband and her son, programming this coding of divine self to divine self communication, divine self to divine self communion, divine self to divine self compatibility. And nothing happened right away, as they were still watching the game and they were all caught up in that action. But in the evening, the first weird thing was the husband offered to help her with dishes, which he never did, and the evening tasks around the house, whatever was necessary, and was more kind and thoughtful to her. And the son came the next day in the morning as she was in the kitchen preparing breakfast, and he hugged her mother from behind her shoulders. And he said to her for the first time in their lives, "Mom, I've never shown you how much I love you. And I've even been rude to you. And I want you to know that I really appreciate you for all you do. And I love you." Her jaw literally dropped because she has never felt that or witnessed that or heard these types of words in her house in her entire life with her family. So she clearly knew that this was the result of her heart opening and her heart programming with her family, and their relationships went on to be much more beneficial in the years to come, due to this type of heart sharing, energy heart sharing that's very useful. And another example, and with that we're closing the live, and you can join us for the full program of 8 days by clicking the link in bio on Instagram or clicking the link in the description of the video on Facebook. Last but not least, there was two teenager girls who felt kind of isolated in the groups they were tuning into and joining, because their friends were going to clubs, they were having common conversation, about makeup and boys and whatnot. And sometimes, they would feel uninterested. And I was kind of having the same issue when I was a teenager. They weren't uninterested. They were uninterested in going over and over again about talks about guys and makeup and ordinary things. They were really missing or lacking good and deep conversation, more profound sharing and insights from the youngsters around them. So when they were going to clubs or trying to connect with various groups and gangs that they were into, they were really feeling misplaced and kind of like alienish in those environments. So one time, after learning about this tool of sharing heart to heart, they went to this club, and as soon as they got in, they shared this rays of love to everyone in the room, programming or coding, divine self to divine self communication, divine self to divine self communion, divine self to divine self compatibility. And lo and behold, their friends started to gather around them, or even unknown people, new people, starting topics that they really enjoyed, because they enjoyed meditation, they enjoyed paranormal phenomena the same way I did when I was little. They enjoyed talking about deeper things like emotions and feelings and family matters and stuff. And they were starting to have these deep, meaningful conversations with the youngsters around them. And that evening went on to be one of the best evenings they ever had in a group. And they felt so nourished and, cherished. And they felt that finally they belonged somewhere, because, when your consciousness is a bit higher or interested in different things, you are kind of feeling like an alien in our own groups and feeling like, like a ship dropped you somewhere and forgot about you. So that's a way to communicate and commune with people, to find common topics and common bridges between you, and to really be able to relate in a beautiful way. With that, I hope it's been useful. I hope you practice that, and let me know in your comments how you feel about it. And if you've had any results, you can write to me. Sending much love to all. Again, you can follow our whole webinar if you join us. And after we finish sharing about relationships, we're having a deep meditation, also with sound healing and Tibetan bowls. That includes light coding, recalibration of DNA and energy field, and a deeper way of sharing with each other, and a non-physical level at the energy level, of course, with pranic nourishment. Big hugs, much love to all of you on Instagram. Thank you for being here. Heal with Hannah, Vision Board, Fruit Friends, Cottle, and Catalyzer, and so on. I'm happy to have had you here with us, and hope to have you in this program tonight and for the days to come. We still have 6 days to go. Big hugs to all. Blessings. And those of you who are